Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this classic Kinks album, Face to Face. So in this video I'll just do my usual thing, showing the vinyl and then scoring every song using my new scoring system. So this was Kinks' fourth studio album, released on the 28th of October in 1966. It's notable that this album was the first Kinks release to feature all songs credited to Ray Davies. At this point in time, his songwriting was starting to change and evolve. He was taking a lot more observant approach to his songwriting and a more sophisticated style. Around the time of making this album, the band were going through a couple of difficulties. The bass player, Pete Quaife, I believe that's how you say his name, temporarily quit the band. Not too sure why. I think it was a slight contractual dispute. And also around this time, I think late '65, Ray Davies suffered a nervous breakdown. Now this album is often cited as one of the first rock concept albums. Although it doesn't have a story or a narrative going through it, it does have a loose theme of a social commentary and different characters' lives, and Ray Davies was writing about different people, as opposed to his earlier You Really Got Me style of songs. And these songs are a lot more sophisticated and about his experiences and different people he'd met, stuff like that. However, the album didn't perform as well commercially as the earlier stuff. It reached only number 12 in the UK albums charts, and this was the last time the Kinks would chart in the top 20 UK albums charts. All the albums after this, I think Something Else About the Kinks got about number 35, and then after that, Village Green Preservation Society didn't even chart at all here in the UK, and neither did the likes of Lola and Muswell Hillbillies. All were relative commercial favours. So I'm now just going to show you the vinyl here. Now this is the 2014 reissue of it here. There's the back of it there. I have kept mine in the shrink wrap, that's why it's quite reflective here. And this is on just a plain sleeve, but this is on nice red vinyl here, which is really, really cool. So there. So I'm now just going to go over every song on the album now. This track up is called Party Line, and I would give this song a 10 out of 10. I think it is a really, really great little rocking track. It's not a masterpiece by any means, but it is just such a great little song. It's probably the song on this album was most similar to the earlier R&B or orientated material. I love the start of it. It just starts off with a ringing off a phone, was copied later by the Jam on their album Setting Suns. And these sort of sound effects were supposed to be used throughout the whole album, but for some reason they decided to drop it. Sound effects are only all on a couple of the songs on here, but it would have certainly been interesting if all these songs would be cross-faded and linked. Certainly then you could definitely make a case for this being the first concept album. Next track up is called Rosie, Won't You Please Come Home, and this is a great little song, sort of about Ray Davies's sister called Rosie, who had moved to Australia, and it is a really good little song. He's sort of longing to have her back, and but again this one though, it doesn't mention Australia. It says Rosie, won't you please come home, now you've joined the upper classes. So yeah, it's he's sort of dealing with the class system and that, and that does come through in a lot of these songs as well. Dandy, dandy, we're gonna go now. Next track up is called Dandy, and I would give this song an 8 out of 10. It's a good solid track, supposedly written about his brother's Dave's rather wild lifestyle around this time. This was issued as a single in mainland Europe, and it was quite a big success actually. Managed to get to number 1 in Germany. I think it got to number 2 in Belgium or somewhere like that, but it wasn't released in the UK or America. However, most people will probably know this song from a cover from Herman's Hermits, which was quite a big success again, America. I'm thinking all the time. Next song is called Too Much on My Mind, and I'd give this song a 10 out of 10. I just think it is really, really, really great. it is a slower song, a little bit slower tempo to it, but it's just really nice melody to it. And like the lyrics of this one here are like about Ray's nervous breakdown, what I mentioned, and like I just love it. Very different styles like what like we used to like with like the Kinks. So like yeah, I just love this song a lot.
He's a session man.
The next track up is called Session Man, and I give this a 7 out of 10. It is a decent song, but it isn't one of like my personal favourites. I do like the lyrics to this one though. It's sort of about like these sort of like session musicians, like you like go to studios and like just perform like different people's songs, and like it's just sort of like from like his perspective, and like yeah, like I really like the lyrics just in there, and like the harpsichord in it as well, sort of adds like a playful touch. Like the harpsichord is like used like quite a bit like on this album, and like that was like quite like an unconventional instrument for pop music like at this time, and like yeah, so like this song here, like overall I like it. The next track up is called Rainy Day in June, and I give this a 7 out of 10. I do like it though, but it is kind of strange for like the Kinks style. Sort of like almost like psychedelic before like that really like existed like as like a subculture. And like sort of starts off with like the sound effects like the rain, like the thunderclouds, and then but like the reason why I'm not giving it like a higher score is like kind of like the slow sort of plodding nature like off like the actual song. But like, the actual song was like quite inventive for like the time, I have to say. Now the closer to side one is called House in the Country, and I'm going to give this a 8 out of 10. It's a more up-tempo rocker, basically like about a guy who lives in the country and has a big sports car. That's basically what like the chorus is. Sort of like again, like, sort of like dealing with like the class system like in Britain like around this time. And like it's like the classic Ray Davies sort of style of writing, somewhat mocking, a really great song. So yeah, House in the Country. Now, opening up on side 2 now is a song called Holiday and Wacky. I'm not sure like how like you say it, but it is good. I love the drum introduction to this song. Like I swear that I've heard it on like a travel agent advert or something like that. I must have done somewhere, because like really good like drum introduction to it. Basically like about like a guy like going like on holiday, but it's not what like he imagined it. Like the actual place they went is like all like commercialised and like everything. So like yeah, like I do like the lyrics to this and like Ray Davies like was a really great like lyric writer, like as like you all know. But reason why it's a 7 out of 10, like again, it isn't like one of like my like absolute favourites. It's like not as catchy as like some of like the other stuff like on the album, but it's still a pretty good song. Now we get a couple of songs that I'm not a huge fan of. Like this is where like this album sort of like comes a little bit downhill for me, is in like the middle of side 2. First one of those is Most Exclusive Residence for Sale. Again, talking about the class system, but it is a kind of like average song, nothing too memorable, and like the backing vocals on it are like a little bit annoying. Like, and that's why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad song, but it's certainly nothing amazing. Then we get Fancy, which again I'm also giving a 6 out of 10 to. A mildly interesting sort of like acoustic number, sort of that sort of droning and like Indian sort of style. Like the Kinks have like covered that ground on like the single See My Friends released a year before this, but like this song is just not very memorable. Like again, I'm trying to remember what goes like in like my head, but I can't. And that's maybe why like I don't like this one as much. It's just not as it doesn't stay with you like as much like this song as like as much like some of like the stuff on side 1. And then we get Little Miss Queen of Darkness, a 5 out of 10, the weakest song on the album for me. It is another sort of slower, light-hearted, jazzy number, but it's just not that good. The main reason they're like, why I like this as a 5 is because it's got like this bit in like the middle. Like, I have like the song at the start, which is it's going along alright, nothing too amazing. Then like this drum solo comes in at the middle, just completely doesn't fit at all, and like really I could honestly like ruins the song, but it certainly doesn't do like the song like any favours for me. So 5 out of 10 for Little Miss Queen of Darkness. Then we get track You're Looking Fine. Now this does redeem the album somewhat. It is a 7 out of 10 for me, but like again, it's the lyrics of this one though aren't like related to like the actual main theme of like the album, like about like social commentary. Is more sort of like more like generic sort of like lyrics, and like are not like that ambitious lyrically or like or musically like as some like the other numbers, but it is still pretty decent though.
Save me, save me, save me from this squeeze.
Now on to the centrepiece of the album for me is the track Sunny Afternoon, and this would be an easy 10 out of 10 for me. And like I know this is like a common opinion that this is like the best song like on the album, but it just easily is. And like a well-deserved #1 for the band. I believe it was #1 in like the summer of like year 1966. But it was like put like on this album because it did fit with like that theme, like social commentary, songs about like the class system. Like on this one here, like Ray's complaining about like the tax system like in Britain, like sort of like what like the Beatles were doing, like a tax ban of like the huge taxes while like these like pop stars were like having to pay for like the work. But yeah, this song is just such a great pop song. I just really love it. Yeah, so Sunny Afternoon, easily a 10.
I remember everything you said to me.
Then the album closes with a really good like underrated song called I Remember, and I give this a 9 out of 10. I think it's a great closer to the album. Like it's not like a rocking song, but it is really good, got enough energy to keep me interested, and like it is just a fantastic track. So I Remember, pretty good like underrated closer to the album.
You said to me.
So that's me come to the end of this review here, and it would be a 77% for the Kinks Face to Face. Overall, I think this is a fantastic album. It does, however, have like some more sort of like average moments in it, especially like onto side 2, like in like the middle of side 2. But like most of the songs are very short. I think like they're all like under 3 minutes, or like certainly like all like under 4 minutes. So like nothing like overstays its welcome. Like even like the weaker moments on here like are more than tolerable. And like overall, it's like a really enjoyable album to listen to. I would say though it is maybe a tad overrated, and like overrated like isn't a word that I would often use like with the Kinks, but like a lot of people do say that this is like one of like the best albums from like the 60s. For me personally, it isn't, and like I do prefer pretty much a lot of like the Kinks like other later stuff, just like Village Green Preservation Society, Arthur, and Something Else by the Kinks. I think are all stronger than this album, but it's still really good. So like I definitely recommend checking it out, the Kinks Face to Face. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and please like it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.
Best of all, the love we share, the